top of their screen at any moment. I do record all of these sessions and they go onto a YouTube channel that I manage that we're going to be using as an example for this 2-day session. So in effort to make sure, I broke it up into 2 days because I wanted them to be a nice, tight half hour so everybody could get in, get out, and kind of work on their own channel in between these sessions. So if everyone could remain muted through the class, and if you have any questions, feel free to type them in the chat, but I will also open up the floor at the end of the class for any questions as well. Other than that, my name is Anuj. For anybody that does not know me, I am the field marketing specialist here in Santa Cruz in Monterey County. And today is part 1 of 2 sessions we're doing on YouTube. Everyone should be looking at a slide that I'm going to kind of advance here before we dive into the live demo of the platform itself. I want to talk a little bit about YouTube as a marketing arm, as a part of a larger marketing strategy that you can work on developing with your marketing specialist and your field marketing team in each of your separate respective offices. But you can always feel free to email me when you get the recap at the end of the session. It will include both a link to this recording as well as a little bit of some of the information I'm covering, along with a link to a survey that I will talk about later at the end. But I digress. Let's talk about YouTube. Now, when you think about your website, that's your central marketing kind of hub. That's got everything about what's going on in the market, what you've done, what your business is like, your connection to the community, and kind of all this great information that you can build onto your website. And it's got a ton of great capture points to roll any individual into your CRM or to get them into InTouch so you can put them somewhere else. Now, beyond that, you've got other things like a Instagram, Facebook, LinkedIn, YouTube, that act as kind of arms of that marketing strategy to drive consumers back and forth. Because when they're in need of business, that's when you're most likely to really capture them on your website. But otherwise, these are the other marketing arms that make sure you stay top of mind with both your current sphere and have a great way to capture new ones. And YouTube is something you want to really fold into that strategy because it's the primary source for hosting videos online, and it gives you a great tool that you can then repurpose all of those videos across other platforms and other kinds of marketing tools like newsletters or emails, or all kinds of different things that you could incorporate these videos that you're putting onto this platform into. So some real stats to think about as to why is this important and what can it mean for your business. So when you think about users worldwide, YouTube has 2.3 billion active users. That is a massive number when it comes to outreach. There's nothing statistically that we can do in regards to advertising a home well or advertising your business that will reach more eyeballs in more places than having a good presence on this platform. YouTube is the second most popular search engine after Google. So when you think of what does that mean in regards to your consumer, this means the second most thing people will type into on the internet beyond Google is YouTube. So you will go into YouTube. For example, what does that mean for you? If you're creating content relevant to your markets, if someone, for example, here searches Santa Cruz, there's going to be a ton of great videos that a lot of my agents have made that can help them learn about Santa Cruz, not only about the housing market, but about the community as well, giving you a new in to a consumer to become attached to your business. YouTube viewers, like it says here, watch over 1 billion hours of video on the platform every day. And all of these stats are as, either 2019 through 2021. YouTube is the second most popular social media platform. So almost 80%, 8 out of 10 people that use the internet regularly have a YouTube account. And that doesn't even account for the people that have a YouTube account but may not be aware of it. Google's parent company owns YouTube as well. So anybody with a Gmail has a YouTube account. YouTube usage by generation. So when you look here at this graph, you can see at least 90% of internet users 18 to 44 access YouTube. And what's even more surprising is that same study showed 51% of elderly people over the age of 75 are watching YouTube videos regularly as well. And that number has only grown through the pandemic. Now, some business stats to YouTube. So these numbers are pre-pandemic. And again, they've only grown since then. But prior to the pandemic, 62% of businesses were using YouTube as a regular marketing arm to post content to. And recently, more more types of businesses across all boards are using it as a way to communicate both with existing customers and to reach new potential customers. About 9 out of 10 people say they discover some new type of brand or product of YouTube. Now, that doesn't necessarily mean they will be convinced to purchase any product or partner with you, but when it comes to getting your message across, this stat lets you know that you have a great way of reaching people. Now, when you think about things like SEO or creating a online footprint, the long-term game when it comes to having a marketing strategy is making sure you have good presence on a platform like this, which is owned by a search engine, and it itself happens to be the second largest search engine behind it. And like I was saying at the beginning, 90% of digital video views on online are happening on YouTube. It's the most popular channel when it comes to consuming videos online. The second is Vimeo, and it's a long way, like a long distant number two. So those are just some basic stats. And now that I've gone over some of that, I'm actually going to stop with the slides here, and we're going to dive into YouTube and talk a little bit about setting up your account and what you might be thinking about when kind of getting some of those basic concepts ready to start putting things onto that channel. And that's what we're going to talk about in part two. Part two will be the YouTube studio and all of the settings on the back end. So now I'm going to go ahead and just share my screen kind of regularly right here. And we're going to go ahead and dive into YouTube. So I'm going to go to the home page, and let's zoom in here to make it a little bit easier for everybody to look at. And so when you're looking at the home page for a user, see, I'm signed in to my Gmail. So that's going to create my Gmail will manage your Google account, which is your YouTube account. So if I sign out, just to give everybody a basic round of how YouTube operates, let's go ahead. Now, any user, now this is where things like cookies and tracking and all that comes into play. That's what generates videos right here based on how you interact with this platform. This splash menu here is going to be stuff curated for each individual user. When you sign in and have an account, it'll do a lot better job at targeting. On your left-hand side, you have a menu. This menu will uh, essentially the only things you need to focus on are things like library, which accounts for your own videos. History will take you to videos that you've watched. And then everything else pertains to some kind of subdivision of YouTube, which we're not really going to dive into. It doesn't pertain to how you would manage your channel and doesn't really have any effect into that. What we do want to talk about is the kind of account you can have when setting up your YouTube account. Now, like I said, any Google account can manage a YouTube channel. What does that mean though? It means, you'll have a channel, and like my channel, it's just going to be named my name. But what you can do, and what I suggest anybody does, is create a new Gmail account. And right here, it's called a brand account. And you can see you've got, when I hit create account, you can create account for yourself or to manage your business. This is where you'll fill in the rest of the information into, creating that Google account. And the only thing gained, there's two things that are gained by having a brand account versus a standard Google account. First thing is giving a name to my channel. My YouTube channel is only going to be my first and last name because it's a personal account. If you have a brand account, you can then name the channel whatever the business is. So for example, if my business were Anuj's Coastal Estates, then I could make a brand account, transfer ownership of that YouTube account to this account, and then I could call the YouTube channel my business name. Outside of that, the other thing gained is you can delegate access to a branded YouTube account to other Gmail accounts as well. So if you have other members of your team or a marketing assistant or anything like that that is posting content to your channel or helping you post content to your channel, you can give them access by delegating them in the system. Other than that, it is the same YouTube account. There's no other things gained. It's just those two things, which are pertinent if you're running it as a business account. So I would recommend doing that. I'm going to go ahead and just sign in real quick. That's not the password. Give me 1 second. Now that I am signed in, let's go ahead and talk about some of the functions here. Now, on the left-hand side, you'll see immediately we've got these subscriptions. This, again, specific to each user. These are channels you are subscribing to that you would follow. So each user is going to see something different. You'll see this is expanded, library history, your videos, your watched videos, and any playlists that you set up. We'll go over setting up playlists in a little bit. And then again, everything else pertains to subdivisions of YouTube. And we're going to dive into some of those deeper settings tomorrow. What you guys will care about is right here on the right-hand side. So this, like I said, will allow you to manage that Google account where you can edit, if you're a brand account, it'll give you option to do business hours, all of that good stuff. Upload your headshots. Your channel, as you imagine, will take you to your channel. All of these things, again, pertain to the individual user. So if you change it to a dark theme, it only affects you, doesn't affect anybody else. If you change the language, that will only affect you. If you change the location, that will affect where you are posting from. But I wouldn't, again, I wouldn't mess with any of those settings. Is going to take you right into this back end. I didn't actually mean to click on that. But again, we're going to dive into some of that in just a second. Now, if you click on your channel, you will immediately go to this landing page that will show you your channel from the consumer's perspective. The only thing a regular consumer doesn't see are these two buttons right here, customize channel and manage videos. Everything else will look just like it does to that user. So the first thing you want to think of is branding. If you've got, Design Concierge made a banner for you, this is a great place for you to put it. If you've got, anything else that you use as some kind of branding, I use this image on my website, so I also use it here, just for consistency's purposes. Just make sure, like anything you would put on your website, it's something you have the permission to use the copyright for, or in this case, it's a photograph I took myself, so then I own the copyright for it. Clicking on this little photograph button will take you right into the settings section of the YouTube studio where you can work on all of this specific material. And this is where you will hit the channel customization feature. So if you hit customize channel, we'll also dump you right into there where you can also edit these items where you can link to, again, your website, your Instagram, your LinkedIn to make your marketing cyclical, right? That way you can keep in touch with all of your consumers in whatever way that's relevant to them. Once you're in this back end, you can see where you can upload your headshot, you can upload your banner image, and upload your logo so it becomes a watermark on all the videos that you are posting. All of these things are just as easy as hitting that upload button or change if you wanted to edit it, going to that image, you can select it. And I'm using the banner art one because as you can see here, it will give you all of the versions that your consumer can see of that art. So you want to make sure you keep, again, if you're getting a banner image, it'll be centered anyway. But if you're using a big image like I am, you can see what's viewable on all devices, viewable on desktops, and viewable on television. There we go. Viewable on television, viewable on desktop, and viewable on all devices. This way you can make sure your image is centered, cropped properly to do all of those things. You hit done, and just like that, you have changed the image. Same thing for a logo. You can hit upload, upload your logo, make sure it fits properly. And you can have it display at the end of video, custom start, entire video, whatever, again, is best for your branding purposes. Once you're done with any of these things, you want to make sure you come up here. You see this little button, publish. Just like on any other platform, if you don't hit save, whatever you just did won't end up changing. Now, outside of that, you can also go to layout. This first page only is pertinent if you've got stuff uploaded to the channel, which is what we're going to talk about again in part 2. We'll go through uploading a video in part 2. But if you've got a great thing that you want to think about is a welcome video. I have one on my channel. You can set both for people that are returning subscribers and people that haven't subscribed to your channel. You can set multiple videos if you want. You can, and this is all real basic. There isn't a lot of effort that can be done here, and it's simple for a reason because all you need to do is keep it simple. If you need to add a new section, there's a handful of options that you can choose from. It will create a new section where you can then drag or drop wherever you would like that to go. Click on the 3 dots to remove that section. And that's it. Basic info is where you can go in and add things like your bio. If you've had Design Concierge write a bio for you and it's got all those great keywords in it that web crawlers are looking for, you want to make sure that same bio is uploaded as many places as you can get it online. So things like search engines have a good time finding it and linking all of those things together. This is where you want to put that bio. This is where you can get your URL for your YouTube channel and where you can put all of those links to your other parts of your marketing plan that you're using. Just make sure that you remain active on those channels. There's nothing more harmful to your brand than linking to something that hasn't been updated in weeks. You can choose how many links to feature on the banner. You can add up to 5 by clicking add, giving it a name, and then pasting the URL, as you can see I've done here. And this. Now, you can create whatever email you would like for the Gmail that manages this account. Never has to be consumer facing because here is where you're going to add your contact info, and that's what shows up on the channel if anybody wants to contact you. Once you're done making all those changes, again, hit that beautiful publish button at the top right. And that's part 1. I'm going to go ahead and open up the floor to any questions. In part 2, we're going to cover uploading into the channel and go into all of the settings and the YouTube studio and the rest of the stuff on the left, because that's going to take a half hour in and of itself. I'm going to go ahead and stop sharing my screen. If any of you guys would like to unmute, feel free to do so. I've got a question here in the chat. Would this be the same for Facebook, the Google account? Facebook is much more pertinent to have a actual business account. Like I said, the Google account on the branding side only gives you those two things: the ability to control what the name of the YouTube channel is, and the ability to delegate access for the YouTube channel to other users. On the Facebook side and on the Instagram side, setting the account as a business account will actually change the way that account interacts algorithmically with consumers. So it behooves you to make sure that you have those things set up as business accounts, because it gives you more gasoline behind all of the things that you would be planning in regards to promoting those channels, because now it's going to interact like a business on those channels. I hope that makes sense. I will indeed be sharing the recording. It will get sent in a recap to all of you, with a reminder that part 2 is the same time, same link, except tomorrow. Where do you type the business account name? So when you're creating a new Google account, let me go ahead and share my screen again. I did that right at the beginning here. So I'm going to go ahead and sign out. Now, if you already have a YouTube channel, there's a spot here in the settings. If you go, let's go back to my channel. And let's go to settings. Under advanced settings is where you can move the channel to a brand account. So if you already have a YouTube channel and you just are creating a new account, then all you need to do is basically sign out of the existing one. And then when you go sign in, instead of signing in, you'll go use another account. And then right here, create account to manage my business instead of for myself. Then this is the account you will then transfer, like again, if you have an existing one, or you can create a whole new one right here. So that's where you would do that.
Thank you.
Are there any other questions?
I have a question.
Yeah, go ahead.
So once we start getting going on this, is there a time we could have like a one-on-one if we get stuck on something or just want to reach out and really get it going?
Yeah, feel free to, you can either reply to, you'll get my email when you get the recap, or you could also reach out to your local field marketing specialist as well.
Thank you.
Which for you, you're in Morgan Hill?
Yes.
I think that would be Ansley. I think.
That's correct. No, that's correct.
Okay. Yeah, she should also, because just in case I'm busy, she's also a great resource for you.
Awesome. Thank you.
All right. So, are there any other questions? Because what I'm going to do is just stop the